Moolala is brought to you by the nonprofit credit counseling agency Credit Canada. I can play the game, but I am not great at the game. And I don't like the game. The game being getting the best price on internet and cell phone services. When it comes to all these plans, there are relatively few providers, but plenty of plans, like a bazillion plans. How do you know which is the one that is best for you? How do you know what's available these days? Nadir Marcos is the CEO of PlanHub, which is an internet plan comparison site to help you choose not just internet, but cell phone and TV plans in Canada. He is here to tell us about how that works and how to get the best deal for your bucks. He is in Montreal, Quebec. Hello there.
Hello, Bruce. Thanks for having me.
There are so many of these comparison websites out there. So mortgages, credit cards, insurance, almost every category you can think of. Why did you decide to start PlanHub?
Well, I had the personal need. I mean, I used to call my provider, and back then, I don't know if you remember that, Bruce, but back then you had these 10 numbers that is unlimited, and the rest is like 100 minutes per month. And I would ask my carrier, so what are the 20 numbers I should pick, or the 10 numbers I should pick? And he wasn't able to tell me. But even though he had the data, right? So I said, okay, there's a need there. The plans are complex to understand. They're easier now than before, but they are complex to understand, and it's hard to compare apples with apples. And so that's how it started. It really started as an Expedia-like site, and still under that format today.
So you put in your plans. I understand PlanHub is not available every single place in the country because plans are different depending on where you live. But you put in your postal code, you answer some questions about your needs, and then what will you see? What gets served up?
So yeah, for internet, since I guess you're talking about internet mostly, what is complex for internet is to know what is available where and at what speed. I mean, Canada is such a big country that's really the complexity, and it's hard to for the carriers to cover all the rural areas and so on. So yeah, it's postal code based, which is not perfect. I mean, but it's still better than nothing. And yeah, essentially we'll list all the providers that match your needs, the needs that you have expressed and that are available in your postal code.
Now I put in my postal code and it listed all companies I have never heard of.
Yes.
That's kind of a deal breaker for me. I can't be the only one. How would you address a consumer concern about signing up with a player you've never heard of?
That's a very good question, Bruce. And that's why we've collected over the years 15,000 reviews. There's a lot of small internet carriers out there that are, fighting for attention. It's hard to beat the big guys. But that's one of the goals of PlanHub, is to put them equal to equal with other players. And so yeah, we've collected a lot of reviews, and the reviews are there, and they're there to help the user pick the good ones from the not so good ones, and they are not all equivalent for sure.
How do I know that you have even included the major providers, given that they aren't listed? Because I got to tell you, I looked at the list and I was like, wait a sec, did they even check out Bell and Rogers and Shaw and TELUS and the ones that have the biggest brand recognition?
We have, as I said, the complexity is to know what is available where. So it really depends on your postal code. That's what makes the tool so useful, is that it really depends on your postal code. And I mean, it's not perfect. I guess if you're asking the question, perhaps you're in a rural area. Is that the case?
Downtown Toronto.
Are you really?
Downtown Toronto. Yep.
Oh boy. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So let me ask another thing that really struck me as odd is the players that were served up on that first page all required a lump sum payment for 2 years instead of monthly. And unlike my marriage, I am a big believer in no commitment. I don't like making a commitment to any of the telecom providers. Why would they serve up deals like that? Is that with these other providers that I haven't heard of? Is that normally how they work?
They used to work like that, but actually what you saw is a calculation that we do over 2 years. As I said, we wanted to compare apples with apples. So there's three prices in the result card that we show, for example, for browsers or whatnot. You have the monthly price, of course, you have the upfront payment, and then you have the 2 years. The 2 years really includes everything that you have to pay over the course of 2 years.
I see, but I don't have to pay it all at once.
No, 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 no. This is
I
the
see.
total. So we,
I see.
so just to compare based on price, we wanted to compare. You know, it's hard to compare when the first one says 6 months, six first months are
Yeah.
$20 off, and then you have the modem and so on. So we really wanted to put everything on the 2 year price. And this comes from the cell phone, because on the cell phone, everything is calculated on 2 years. You know, the price of the day, the contract is 2 years length. So
Right.
we really use this model.
There, I'm sure, are plans that are publicly available, but my sense is, and this is talking from industry, talking to industry insiders over the years, there are plans that aren't advertised. They are granted to VIPs, they are granted to major complainers, they are granted to people for a whole bunch of reasons. How do you get access to the plans that the providers don't advertise?
Well, Bruce, with some of the carriers, we have exclusive deals. These hidden deals are there on the site, but they're mostly on our alert feature. We have an alert feature, and you know the prices are very dynamic, much more dynamic that people know. And so on that price alert, we do have exclusive deals at a precise time and for people that and really tailored to what the user is looking for. So yeah.
There is a big advantage, or at least I should say a big perceived advantage, because I don't know the facts on this, but there's a big perceived advantage that if you combine internet and mobility, you are going to save a chunk of money. How come your site doesn't do that?
It's a boost. You know, it's a question of time. Of course, we absolutely need to work on that, and we are working on that on bundling. And unfortunately, for now, we only compare the two in silos, but it's definitely in the pipeline, and actually, it's being worked on. Yeah,
Mm.
that's the next step really for us.
These comparison websites as a category typically make their money in the same way, which is that some of the companies that are on their platform will grant them an affiliate fee. Is that how PlanHub makes its money?
Yes, yes. For now, it's the model, but it doesn't change really how we show the prices. You'll notice that we show some carriers that don't have a view more button, and this really is how we get paid. And they're still on the side. So we try to be as impartial as possible, and that is our mission. Yeah.
So there is the site, and we've spent most of our time talking about PlanHub itself. What are other strategies that Canadians should be aware of to save on their internet and mobility plans?
I think that a very large part of the saving will come probably from doing a good assessment of the customer need. So what do you really need for internet speed? You know, the companies, they want to sell you the biggest speed as they can, because it's basically their business model, right? They sell, they rather have you, Bruce, buy 1 gigabit connection and use only 50 megabits per second, 50 megabits, and so that they can sell, that 950 megabits to other Bruces that buy also 1 gigabit, and it's kind of a, a Buffett like business model.
Mm.
So if you and we have a questionnaire on the site that helps you define your needs, but as an example, I mean, for Netflix, you don't need more than 5 megabits per second, and that can be surprising. And if you want 4K, 4K requires 30 megabits per second, but it's much less than what companies are trying to sell us. So assessing the needs are number one. Second opportunity to save is timing. Companies, they're public companies, they have quarters, they have objectives, and they are key moments in the year where the prices are lower. And that was a bit of the goal of our alert feature, is to just have a line in the water, and once a deal becomes available and becomes relevant for you, we'll send it to you. And that was the goal. Third option is, of course, to negotiate. Call and negotiate, and the best way, I believe, to do that is to have a comparable, and maybe perhaps PlanHub can help you with that, but call and negotiate.
One last question before we go here. How often should a consumer look at this bill? Is it once every month? Is it every 6 months? It certainly is more than once every 2 years, because I know from experience that prices really do go down if you wait that long.
Yeah, it's a good question. I'd say once every six months, and
Once every 6 months.
yes, and probably, I mean, the truth is there's key moments where you should look, and moving season, like there's of course back to school, Black Friday, Boxing Day, all those. March break also has interesting deals. So there's key moments in the year where the prices are much more attractive.
Really interesting stuff. Nadir, thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure, Bruce.
Nadir Marcos is the CEO of PlanHub. Check it out. There's some really interesting insight here. You'll have to get over the hurdles that I talked about, that I had to, sort through in terms of new providers that I've never heard of, but some great tips from Nadir there on how to score the best deals.